What is going on YouTube? You're here from MJTech. Today coming with the unboxing, assembly, and review of the brand new 2022 Phatmoto. This came directly from their website, and this model here, the main difference is that now it has a 7-speed cassette for the rear tire, and that now it comes with a Hilliard clutch. So here, without further ado, let's start with the motor, and then we're gonna take out the bike. Inside here we get like a manual with some tools, and that's all we get for this huge box. So let's go ahead and take a look here for the motor. And this is no different in terms of specifications. This motor, it is a 79cc motor, 4-stroke. So this is a great, reliable motor if you guys know how to tune it and take care of it. Oil is very important, as we know, and I show you guys a little trick on what you can do with the exhaust. You can flip it around if you like. And so here we have the upgraded clutch. I can tell this is much different in terms of build. Okay, very cool. And so yes, to add the oil, I already made a video on this. Super simple. You can do it before or after. It comes with a little bit of oil inside. Just take that out and buy good branded oil, guys. Don't go cheap, and this thing will serve you super great. And now with the engine set aside, let's go ahead and take this out of the box. And just like with the other Rovers, we get a box inside of a box. Now this is great, and it is something important that most companies should do, because during shipment these things don't get treated nicely, and I can tell you this from a personal experience. So having dual boxes is definitely a must, and Phatmoto does it every time. I can tell we have a new kickstand. Before, they used to be by the middle of the frame, and there we have that 7-speed cassette on the back side. We do have a single-speed crank right here. These things are built like tanks, and I like the fact that this is the matte army green. I like how it looks. And right here we have the Rover logo this time. I don't recall ever seeing that on the previous models that I had before. We have a replaceable kickstand, and this is something important that I want to point out right now, is that they use 12-gauge spoke rims. This is a standard rim from an older bike, and check out these spokes right here. These are much thicker. And inside of the box here we have 2 items left. I believe this is the seat inside here, maybe the pedals as well, and we have the clutch cover here. Well, this is just a friendly reminder for the assembly. Make sure that when you are adjusting the stem, it comes loose here from the side, which is a number 4 Allen driver. And this bolt, it is covered by a little rubber piece like this. You have to remove it and make sure this is tight as well, otherwise you're gonna have play right here. So to avoid that, make sure this is tight as well. And we got the front wheel pretty much all set up. Now the back came already pre-assembled. There's things that you need to inspect and also do. I would suggest that you add grease to the chains. Make sure all the bolts are tight. Also, don't forget to adjust the brake caliper, the line. They come loose. So in order to adjust it, all you do is loosen up this bolt, which is a number 5 Allen driver, and then you stretch the line until you can go no further. Then you test it by pressing the brakes and making sure they work properly. You do the same thing here for the front side, and that will ensure your safety. Okay, so we got the Phatmoto upside down. As you guys can observe, I did it after installing the seat. I also got the handlebar installed with the front suspension. I made sure that everything is tight on the front. I also added air already. So the front I have it at 38 psi, the back I have it at 42 psi. That's just my personal preference. I feel like it gives me better stability that way. So I went ahead and removed here what I call the engine chain, which is the 415H that comes already from factory installed. I went ahead and loosened up the tensioner, and then it has a clip. It's really simple. It has the master link. So you remove the master link, you take off the chain. That will allow for this to move a little easier, because with the other chain it's going to be a little harder. And the purpose of this is to calibrate the derailleur. So this one happened that out of the box it was not calibrated properly. So if you follow these instructions, this can be very easy, but if you don't follow instructions, you will have a headache. So the first thing I did is I went here to the controller, the one where you select the speed that you want it into. So this thing has up to 7 speeds. I went ahead and set up the controller over here to the number 7. Now I noticed that on this side it wasn't getting to the 7 speed. So what you do is, by the way, all you need is 2 simple tools. You need a Phillips screwdriver and a 9mm socket or a wrench. So the first thing you do is, if it doesn't go into the proper gear, you loosen up this wire and you leave it like this with no pressure whatsoever. Now you have over here the high and low screw. Don't touch it yet until you do this part first. The next thing is that you set up here the gear to number 7, and then you start pedaling. And what will happen is that it will automatically go into the highest gear, which will be the smallest sprocket. It's going to go to the number 7. Now if you hear some chattering when you pedal, you hear that chattering noise that it usually makes when it's not going into proper gear, then what you do is, on the H screw, you move it counterclockwise. So if you look here, you have the H, which is the one here on the lower side, because we have it upside down. It will be labeled on the side H and L. L is for low. So what you do is, if it's shattering, you move the H screw, you move it counterclockwise until you stop hearing the chattering. Once that happens, you have to again make sure that you are in gear number 7 on the controller. Now you reconnect here the wire. You make sure that you stretch it to the max of your ability, and you place it underneath this metal piece that is located right below the bolt here. Okay, and then you tighten it up again. That's basically what you're doing. And then this little knob, you want to move it clockwise until it goes completely in. That's the first thing you want to do. So now we reattach the wire here. You have to stretch it by hand and make sure that this is very tight. So far you don't have to touch anything. All you do now is go back here to your speed selector, and let's go now here on number 6. Then we pedal and see if that works. So right now we are pedaling and it went into gear number 6. So you're going to try all the speeds and make sure that everything works properly. Now my recommendation is that if you guys have a bike stand in which you have this bike facing the right way, it'll be a lot easier, because sometimes having it upside down makes it a little bit harder to calibrate. But now if you guys have to calibrate anything, keep in mind that the highs are for gear 5, 6, and 7. The lows are for 4, 3, 2, and 1. So all you do after moving the knob and tightening this wire is that if you have problems going from gear 7 to gear 6, you can try moving this counterclockwise until it goes to gear 6, and then you try gear 5, and if everything's working great, that's it, you leave it at that. Then you try 4, 3, 2, and 1, and again, if they're working fine, you don't have to do anything, in which most likely they will. However, if you have to, then you adjust here the low screw. You adjust it either counterclockwise or clockwise until the gear 4, 3, 2, and 1 are shifting properly. So in this case, again, we got everything set up and ready to go. So what I'm going to do is reinstall that 415H chain, and now we're going to install the motor. Well, here we are now at the Hilliard Park with the Phatmoto fully assembled and ready to go. The back, I checked here all these bolts that are on the hub for the rear brake and sprocket. Make sure those are tight. What I love about this new bike here, the 2022 model First of all is the army color. I think so far that's my favorite color. Second, the 7-speed transmission on the back. That's one of the best upgrades that they have done. These bikes, as we know, with the engine, they can be a little heavy, so having a single speed on the back doesn't help, especially on hills. But now you have the option to change that, which again, it makes a dramatic difference when you are pedaling. If you have to pedal, it does help a bunch. And third, we now have a interchangeable kickstand, so you guys can tell right here. But this bike, out of the box, without any upgrades, it runs great. So without further ado, let's go for a ride and see how this baby performs. What I love the most about this Hilliard clutch is the fact that it is just so smooth to ride. Before, with the previous Phatmotos, the clutch was not as smooth and you had to lubricate it so often. The gear selector here is also very smooth, and I'm able to shift between gears after that calibration. Beautiful day today to be riding around. Pretty soon we're going to be doing a little bit of off-roading. Alright guys, so we have a hill coming ahead. We're going to test the Phatmoto and see if it's able to climb it. Hopefully it can do it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right ahead. Alright, here you go. I had to pedal a little bit. But we did it. Alright, here we go in a little off-road. Now we're gonna go downhill. Alright. Brakes are pretty good and responsive, but you have to press them both, otherwise one is not going to do the job if you're trying to stop downhill. All right. Well guys, that is it today for the Phatmoto 2022 video. If you guys want more content of this particular unit, let me know down below. Keep in mind that to make it a little bit faster, I bypassed here the governor by adding this link like I did with the other bikes, and it is giving me about 30 to 35 miles per hour. And of course, if I decrease this sprocket here to, I would say 44 T sprocket, it'll probably go about 40 miles an hour. This one with a much better clutch and the 7-speed on the back. Thank you for watching. Like the video, share the video, click on the bell icon so that you don't miss future videos like this, and I'll see you on my next one.